Hi Aries, and welcome to your May 2019 Astrology 33 reading. We have a Celtic Cross spread in front of us, and you guys got a lot of extra cards that came out there. And then you actually got an extra card in both of the Oracle decks that I use. And then we have a Mudra card to get to as well. So there's a ton to get through. I'll try to move through it a little bit faster than usual, just so we're not here for like an hour. But I will say immediately the first vibe that I got, even before I got deeper into laying out the cards, was that you guys need a vacation. And I don't blame you. I might need one myself after this reading, but let's get into it. Starting with the main situation. And you guys got the Nine of Cups, the Seven of Pentacles, the Five of Swords, and the Temperance card. So an interesting mixture of cards, really. But we'll just go through them one by one, try to see how they tie in together. So the first vibe that I get with the Nine of Cups here is that for the majority of you, this is a self-worth thing. You know, you're really getting firm on your value. You guys had Uranus transiting through your sign for probably what seemed like forever for you guys. Now it's actually going to be in your second house for a long time, which that could have to do with self-worth, also finances. You guys have the sun there, and at least part of the month of May, you're going to have Mercury and Venus in there as well. So, you know, that could be what's bringing that energy about. And then with that in mind, you know, you might be looking at most likely your workplace, right? And reevaluating, you know, am I being valued the way I feel I should be, right? And the way I usually look at this card here, the Seven of Pentacles, there's a couple ways. Usually it's not a very negative, very positive rather card. You know, it's not necessarily too negative either, but at best it's neutral. It's like lukewarm, because I view it as, this is one way you can look at it, as this person, this is what they've gotten from their work, right? So they're like, all right, I put in this much work, I only got this one pentacle. This other person who you think might be doing the same thing you're doing has that much more, right? So you're like, I don't get it. Why am I putting in this work? I only have this much to show for it. This person has this much. Another way it could be too is just looking at, you know, you might be looking at how long it took you to get this many pentacles, right? And you're still on that same path, and realizing, okay, I'm, you know, putting in all this work. I only have one more to show for it. It's going to take me so much more work to get, you know, to get this stack looking like that one, right? So in that regard, just feeling a little bit defeated and wondering if it really is the best way to spend your time and your resources, basically. And then with the Five of Swords here, I'd view this more as a cautionary thing, because it could say, you know, you might want to be careful about letting that feeling come out in a negative way. You know, to me, the Five of Swords is usually about ego conflicts. There are those things that you know ahead of time before you officially start the conversation that it's not going to end up in a productive, positive way, but you still go do it anyway. So that's what I see there. And then what follows that is the Temperance card. So this is a major arcana card for Sagittarius, and you guys have Jupiter in that sign right now, and it's moving retrograde. So the main vibe that I got with that was to say that, you know, rather than dwelling in this energy and feeling like, you know, maybe you do feel like you're not being valued the way you should be, right? But just be careful about how you approach it. And to me, this is saying, just let karma take the lead in this one. You know, you guys have Saturn in your 10th house, and Pluto as well, and they're both going retrograde right now, along with Jupiter in your 9th. So what I usually say to people, you know, when you hear, usually the main retrograde you hear about is Mercury retrograde, right? And it's usually about, oh, you know, this is a good time for you to go over things and, you know, look at what you might have missed in the past, and they warn you not to start anything new, right? It's all focused on you with the Mercury retrograde for the most part. Now with the outer planets like those, I view it a little bit differently. To me, the retrograde, since those are karmic planets, your Saturn, Pluto, Jupiter, Neptune, when they go in retrograde, usually to me the main message there is to kind of let the universe settle the score on your behalf during those times. It's a good time to take your foot off the gas, and especially if you've put in the work, and just let things kind of correct themselves in that regard. So that could be what's playing out there. And then another thing that I did get for some of you, and you'll see why I got this thought as we go through some of the other cards, but for some of you, this can also be related to drinking as well. Um, and really, maybe for a while, it really did make you feel happy, right? If we're looking at the Nine of Cups. And now, it might not be fulfilling you in the way it did in the past, right? And maybe now it's actually just leading to you getting into more conflicts and whatnot. So this might be saying in that regard, you're hoping to regain your balance in that area, right? Maybe you've realized that it's gotten a bit out of control for you in that regard. But like I said, I think that's for far less view, but it did stick out to me enough to where I did want to say it. And then in the challenger obstacle position, we have the Seven of Wands and the Sun card. So these two cards in particular actually made me think that, well, they align with both of those scenarios I was laying out, but I'll start with the one we just talked about first. This made me feel that way too, where you're like, you're realizing that maybe it's gotten a bit out of control for you, right? And you really just want to shake the habit and get back to just feeling happy naturally again, right? Because that's what I think of with the Sun card, right? It's like that pure happiness. It's like a little kid or a baby, you could even say, on a horse. This looks like a real happy background, right? Everything looks fun. So to me, that could be what it's saying there. You're like, I don't want, I don't want to know if I don't want to necessarily be as dramatic as to say you're like battling your demons, right? But that could be what it is there with the Seven of Wands, trying to get back into that vibe again, and it could just be saying that it's an obstacle, and really that can definitely there's some transits that can help with that too, so keep that in mind. Just keep working towards that, and you should start to see some progress. It is in the obstacle position, but there's definitely some other things. Take the Wheel of Fortune at the bottom of the deck, for example. That would be pretty supportive energies that could actually help you in that regard. And of course, if you feel that you can't take it on alone, then feel free to at least try to feel comfortable seeking help if that's what you need. But going back with the first situation that we were talking about, being work, you just might feel overwhelmed with work. You might just feel like there's too much going on. You just might be really, really getting close to the verge of burnout. And, this is what basically it's saying you're like in an all work, no play mode, and it's like really starting to wear you down right now. So that's why I was saying that vacation vibe definitely came out to me pretty heavy. And, those things could be synonymous too. It could be one leading into the other. They could be working hand in hand where, okay, because of how work has you so stressed, maybe that's become like a bit of an unhealthy outlet for you, right? To just get by, and maybe it's not working as well for you as it did. Because that's another thing with Saturn too. It's like it's also, as it goes retrograde, it definitely will help bring those things to light for you, but it's also going to show you, hey, if you have some unhealthy coping mechanisms, it's really going to bring them out. Not to mention you have Chiron in your first house now. So yeah, you could definitely be dealing with a lot of stuff like that. And what it could have been too, with all the crazy stuff going on in Pisces not too long ago, that being your 12th house, that really could have exacerbated the issue a bit and really kind of brought it out to your attention. All right, in the foundation position, we got a ton of different cards there too. We got the Lovers, the Three of Cups, the Eight of Cups, and the Six of Cups. So again, a ton of cards here, but to me, they're actually almost repeating the same message and theme. What I mean by that is, the Lovers now, this is a card of Gemini. This can point to you in regards to a romantic relationship, maybe getting a new connection. that you feel really has legs that can go the distance. But this could also point to innocence too in that regard. Um, and this could even point to the fact that you guys have had your ruler, Mars, going through the sign of Gemini for a while, and that could have helped, really bring out that energy of feeling like you were bouncing around here and there. Now, some of it could have been for work, some of it could have been for play. Third house energy is not just communications, but it's also a lot of short distance travel. And with Mars, especially with it being your ruler going through your third house, you really might have felt like you were just bouncing around from point A to point B constantly. And that could have helped contribute to the burnout too. Sometimes even just partying could burn you out in that regard. You might have overdone it even in that area. And then that points me to the Three of Cups energy, which to me, is a celebratory energy. And, given that it's immediately followed by the Eight of Cups, that's what leads me to think that you really are reevaluating that if it goes back to that drinking theme and you guys might feel like you're, going a bit too far with it. And you might realize, to me, this Eight of Cups energy is realizing that something isn't fulfilling you in the way it used to and actually taking the steps to move away from it. And then the Six of Cups to me almost points back to that sun energy. So this might be saying, this is you looking back to healthier ways that you used to, have fun, basically. That's the main vibe that I'm getting there. But this could totally mean as well, maybe especially if you do heed that advice to take some kind of vacation, even if it's a staycation or just going to see family. Could just be talking about you reconnecting with family and friends you might not have seen in a long time. And maybe through that too, helping you realize maybe it's reconnecting with those people makes you realize, maybe the crowd that I'm with now, and maybe it makes you, want to reconnect with those people from your past that were healthy for you.
So, a lot going on there, but there's so many cards. I feel like it's, there's probably a lot of messages for you guys right now, but hopefully at least some of these are resonating with you guys. All right, in the past position, we have the Empress. So to me, this could just represent a time when you felt like things came to you a little bit more easily, and again, going back to what I'm saying there, feeling like there's some kind of burnout energy coming out, like, just you're burning yourselves out in some area of life, whether it be career, friendships, like I said, partying, and you might just be reflecting on in the past, you might have felt like things were able to come to you more easily and you were able to enjoy your success, so let's say really it was work, right? And you got that financial success and you were actually in a position to enjoy it. But maybe now you're still by all intents and purposes succeeding in your career, but now you just might feel like you never even have the time to enjoy it, right? Which again goes back to what I was saying of, you might just need to take a vacation. If that's within the realm of possibility for you guys, I would definitely recommend that. Maybe even a little bit later in the month too, when the aspects will be even better for that. All right, in the present position, we have the Six of Pentacles in reverse and the Ten of Cups in reverse. So what came to me with this is, the first, well, let me put them in the upright while we talk about them, but the first thing that would come to mind with this in reverse is, okay, there's some kind of an imbalance, right? And this could be related to finances, as we said there. The good thing is you guys will have Venus moving through your second house and Mercury too, so that might help clear some of that stuff up at the very least. And then with the Ten of Cups in reverse as well, I could say that, that means that there's imbalance in a relationship and some of you might be leaving a relationship. And that could even be what that's pointing to as well. Maybe you found someone new, right? You've connected with someone new recently and you realize, wow, the relationship I'm in, right? Going to that Eight of Cups energy, the relationship you're in, maybe you're realizing it's not very healthy for you at all, and you're actually inclined to leave it. Or maybe even you're connecting with, reconnecting with someone from your past and realizing that the relationship you're currently in isn't very healthy. So that could be what these two cards are pointing to.
But for a lot of you, going back to what I was saying, of feeling like you guys are really just working a lot, to me, that could be saying that that's contributing to an imbalance in your relationship. So, what I mean by that is because you guys might be working so much, it might be causing the Ten of Cups to be in reverse, because you're so heavily focused on career, your home and family life might be suffering as a result. And, if that's the case, that would actually align perfectly. Well, let me put them back in reverse. That would actually align perfectly with what Saturn might be trying to show you right now as it retrogrades through your 10th house. It's going to show you where some areas of your life could be unhealthy, and the 10th house is related to career and social status. So, if you're pushing it too hard in that area of life, that retrograde, it might have fired a warning shot to you the first time that Saturn went through those degrees, and now that it's retrograde and it's really asking you to look at it again, like, look, are you really sure that this is the right way to go about things? And I mean, that would just be Saturn by itself, but combine it with the South Node in the 10th house too. That's really going to help you shed some unhealthy habits, or maybe even just, for some of you, can be just flat out leaving the career path you're on while it's going through your 10th, if you find the means to do so, of course. Not just, you're not going to do it on a whim, especially with Saturn and the South Node. It's not going to be like you just suddenly storm off and leave the job altogether. You would definitely plan it out, but, it might make you just realize that that might be the healthiest thing for you to do. All right, and then your future position, another card that points to a potential opportunity or even just a suggestion to travel, we do have the Chariot card. This is actually the major arcana card for Cancer, and the North Node is moving through the sign of Cancer right now. So this could also even be going back to healing family stuff too. And maybe you're a little bit gun shy about that because the other card we have there is the Eight of Swords. So this could even just be stemming from family stuff. Maybe it's just because your family life has been a bit strained, you've thrown yourself into career. People tend to do that sometimes. That's a normal thing. You've probably seen most people in your life experience at one point or another. When one area of your life gets challenging, you throw yourself heavily into another area to just avoid it, right? And that's the downside. If you are using unhealthy coping mechanisms, then those transits can feel a little bit tougher when they're really hitting those points, because they're really going to ask you to look at it and do something about it. So that could be what's going on there, where it's saying maybe with the North Node moving through your 4th house, it's asking you to repair or even just, establish some new connections in that area of life, but you just might be gun shy about doing so. And for others of you, this could just be going back to the travel thing. It's like all the indicators are that you could use a vacation, but for some reason you're hesitant to do so. You might feel like you lose ground. We talked about this with you guys last year when Mars was retrograde, which is your ruler. And, basically for most of the second half of last year, it was either retrograde or in shadow. So you guys might have felt like you lost a lot of ground in that second half of last year. You weren't getting the traction. And I think I might have warned you guys back then, all right, now that, the year kicked off with Mars in your sign, you might have felt re-energized. And then I was like, be careful not to burn yourself out trying to make up for all that lost ground all at once, So maybe this has just been a theme for you guys most of this year. And, if that's the case, maybe a vacation's exactly what you need. Because let's say maybe you take the vacation for a week, you come back, you feel refreshed, all of a sudden these issues feel lessened, right? Or on the flip side, maybe you do take that vacation and then when you come back, you're still, you get right back into that mode where you're like, ugh, I can't do this. So either way, it can end up being helpful in that regard, because it could really help you see, okay, is it really just because I've been burning myself out, or is there something bigger there that I need to look at, All right. And in the position of your influence on the situation, we had the Six of Swords. So to me, the good thing is this does tell me that eventually it looks like you will make the decision to travel. Now, even if, obviously the Chariot the Wheel of Fortune, Temperance. Those are cards that can point to longer distance travel. So you might even just make a compromise with yourself. Maybe financially it's not in the cards for you to make a really big trip, or if you are just really worried about, oh, I don't want to lose ground in my job, then maybe you just make a compromise. You say, okay, instead of taking 10 days to go on a really long distance trip, maybe I'll just take a 4 or 5 day weekend, right? So at least you're doing something. That's the main vibe I'm getting with this. And this could just be pointing, especially like I said, for those of you, if this does point to some kind of addictions or drinking issues, that's going to be for very few of you, I feel, because if that was in reverse, or if we sort of devil somewhere in the card, then yeah, I would definitely say that's more likely. But I definitely do feel that for at least some of you, that's what's going on there. And this could even be saying that you're taking those steps to move away from that. Maybe it's a toxic environment that you've been around, maybe some connections that you feel just get you back into that cycle. Maybe you're distancing yourself from them for a while. But either way, with the overall vibe of the spread, I do see this as a pretty healthy energy. Sometimes this could be a bit of a, moving away from something but still carrying everything with you, so then when you come back you're still dealing with the same situations. In this particular situation, I view this as a pretty positive card, saying you're just gonna take some time, think things over, get a little space from your issues for a bit. In the position of the environment's influence on the situation, we have the Two of Swords. So this is actually a Libra card. This usually represents being torn between two decisions. Um, at the time I'm recording this on the 25th of April, and we did have a full moon in Libra, so I almost forgot all about that. That's a whole other dynamic you guys were dealing with on top of all the Saturn and Pluto stuff. But there were two full moons in Libra. So there was that one that we just had a few days ago, but then pretty much right when the sun went into Aries for you guys, there was the first full moon in Libra. So this could even be pointing to, this was when you first started to feel that, like there was some kind of a split between, all right, do I want to go down this path or this path? For some of you, that could be relating to that vibe that I got for some of you, where maybe you might have either met someone new who's helping you realize that the relationship you're in now might be a bit unhealthy, or on the flip side, you reconnected with someone from way back, possibly, and they're helping you see that the relationship you're in now might be unhealthy, which might be what these two cards are about. Then, that could be when that first kicked off for you. And actually, now that I'm thinking about it too, this is the card of the last 10 degrees of Pisces. And that's where that Mercury retrograde started too. So maybe even when the Mercury retrograde started in Pisces, that could have been when these things really popped out to you, where you really started to see these imbalances in whatever area of life they may have been in. And then, when you got to the full moon, you realized, okay, you got a little bit more clear about, okay, I either have to do this or this, but you just might not have been quite ready to make that decision. And now you are. And this could even represent on a smaller scale too. Maybe you want to take a big trip and the person you're in a relationship is undecided, right? So maybe that's where this whole thing comes from. Maybe it's not a huge relationship issue, it's just a disagreement about what to do for vacation, right? You might be like, look, I want to take this big, long trip to, go overseas. And they might be like, I don't know about all that. So then maybe you guys compromise and say, okay, let's just take a long weekend road trip or something like that just to get away. In the hopes or fears position, we have the Knight of Wands. I'm going to assume this is a hope. And believe it or not, this is actually a court card for Sagittarius. So to me, this is another indicator saying that you guys really want to travel. You really want to take a vacation. And if that's the case, like I said, if it's financially possible for you at all, the energies here definitely seem to be saying you could certainly use one. So you might need to do that. And then for others of you, like I said, some of you might just be fearful of leaving your job for a bit, right? So that could be also coming up as a fear here, saying that you fear to actually take that trip. I mean, what I would say, man, with the Wheel of Fortune at the bottom of the deck, that's a really, really good card to have, given the whole dynamic here, which is to say, the world won't fall apart if you know, really think about what you have to do. And, like I said, even if you don't make a drastic decision, I would say just try to take a little time away from whatever it is that's really getting you stressed out, and things should be fine. Things should hold up until you get back, and then just clearing your mind might help a lot. All right, in the outcome position, we have the Page of Pentacles. So this could represent a new financial offer coming your way. It would usually, typically it would be an increase. And this could be going back to what I was saying there. Like I said, with Saturn going through your 10th, if there was some kind of imbalance in your career, and especially when we get Mercury and Venus moving through your second house, which is another financial house, that could be where those scales get balanced for you guys a bit. And it might not be immediate payout either, because what I usually say with the page energies is they're a bit one foot in, one foot out. But not only that, if you look at the pentacle, it seems like it's right out of his reach, right? It's like almost in his hands, but not quite. So this could just be news that they say to you, okay, effective, I don't know, July 3rd, we're going to give you a pay increase, right? So maybe it's like it's not going to immediately be reflected in your bank account, but you at least might get the word that, yeah, we're going to give you a pay increase. So that's the main vibe that I'm getting with that. All right, and like I said, we have a bunch of oracle cards to get through here, so we'll see if they shed some more light on what's going on here, because it looks like there's definitely a lot going on. First, we have change in the wind. There's the artwork for it, and the number there is 12. So let's take a look at that first. Okay, it says essential meanings. A sense that unseen change has been initiated, preparation for a storm, awareness that your plans are not on firm ground, feeling a shift, uncertainty about which direction the winds will blow. And for those of you, like I said, if you might be even worried, you want to take a vacation, but you're worried, oh, if I leave my job, I don't know what's going to happen. Maybe that's what this is pointing to. But the oracle's message says it's human nature to yearn for certainty and resist change, to want the world to remain consistent like a zebra's stripes. Yet nothing in human experience is black and white, nor will anything remain static. The one thing guaranteed is change. Now is a time of transformation, as outer conditions are temporarily moving out of sync with your desires and expectations. Stay the course and remember that even storms serve to clear the air, scatter seeds, and nourish the soil for better things ahead. Life is about to get interesting. Anticipate it with curiosity as you wonder what is coming in on the shifting winds. The unknown is where the magic lies. So hopefully that's a message that resonated with you guys there. And then the relationship message says relationships go through periods where partners seem out of sync with one another, and stormy emotions and moods threaten to take down the ship. Perhaps someone has a change of heart and leaves. These rough seas offer opportunities for mutual growth, a way for you to understand your own heart better and to know what you need to truly be happy. Rest assured that whatever is happening now, good will come from it. Take temporary shelter and remove yourself from drama. The air will clear and everything will be fresh and new again. This too shall pass. So what's interesting to me there was the take temporary shelter and remove yourself from the drama. To me, that's what I was talking about with the Six of Swords energy. I didn't necessarily think of it in the relationship context. I was thinking about it more as like you need a vacation, but that could definitely be applying to this as well. And maybe that's with that Five of Swords energy that we saw there, like I said, avoiding those petty conflicts. If it is in the context of your relationship, it looks like the person you're with doesn't want to fight, right? This looks like a very non-combative energy. So if this is your relationship partner, it looks like they'd rather just have some time to think and just maybe be alone. So maybe that's what it's about too. Maybe you guys just need to give each other space if that's a dynamic you're in. If you're not, then obviously that shouldn't apply to you. All right, the prosperity message says, as you endeavor to create a prosperous life, you may encounter unexpected reversals that cause you to shift directions. This is a good thing, so there is nothing to fear. Perhaps an opportunity you sought went to someone else. Perhaps you pursued something that you suddenly realize is not in your highest good. You might not be 100% clear on where you need to go, but you are certain that things are not going as planned. Circumstances are not in your control right now. Wait it out. All be all will be well. Even better, actually. Trust. So that's pretty cool there too. Maybe that's even what it was. You know, you might have had that Nine of Cups energy of confidence that, all right, I've put in the work, I'm gonna get rewarded for it, right? Then maybe you get that Seven of Pentacles vibe, like, okay, I'm putting in this work. This person keeps getting accolades, right? And I feel like I'm being left out in some way. So maybe that has you feeling like, wanting to get in that combative energy. And then maybe that's what that temperance card at the bottom of that pile there was saying was, let things, let balance restore itself. You don't have to worry about it. Things will be rebalanced for you. All right. So, I mean, that card actually seemed to really resonate pretty good with the spread, in my opinion. Hopefully, you guys agree, especially if this story resonates with you anyway. The next one, I actually laughed when when I pulled it because it says to the sea. Because, like I said, right when I got around to here, I was like, okay, it looks like Aries needs to take a vacation. And then when this card came up, I definitely had a good laugh. But yeah, there's the artwork for it. And that's number 7. So look at this next. All right. It says essential meanings: being in flow, returning to source, recognizing how pieces fit together, a natural pattern of events. The Oracle's message: isn't it wonderful when you feel yourself in the flow of life, when events and conditions seem to engage you in a way that is fluid and effortless? This card reminds you that going with the flow is exactly what you need to do right now. Ride the wave of opportunity formed by perfect conditions. Allow trust and faith to guide you forward as you flow like a river into the sea of life. So, to be fair, that message, at least as of right now, didn't point to the message that I had, which was like, look, it looks like you guys are burned out. You need a vacation, but hopefully you resonate with the message that's coming across here as well. All right, the relationship message says there are points in a relationship when you have to decide to go with the flow rather than dictate the course you share with another. Can you let go of the need to have things your way and allow the relationship itself, your combined goals and desires, to steer the ship? Can you both transcend your personalities and allow the partnership to form its own identity, its own energy? Now is the time to relax and see where this mutual journey leads. So that's cool too. Again, the go with the flow seems to point to that Six of Swords energy, not rocking the boat. They clearly look like they're not in a position where they want to rock the boat either. So maybe that's a good message in that regard. All right, the prosperity message says everything seems to work out when you stop scrambling and allow the sea of opportunities to wash over you and wake you up to your most prosperous potential. To get into that flow, you need to address your beliefs about abundance and money. The true meaning of your personal currency lies in your skills, your talents and abilities, and most importantly, your core beliefs. Everything flows from your inner world and is reflected into the outer one. When grateful to serve, you align your prosperous consciousness with a higher consciousness. You can expect miracles. Everything you need will come to you easily. All right, so that's a pretty solid message there as well. And like I said, which is interesting because it goes to show how these cards have more depth than they might appear to have on the surface. Because like I said, when I saw that, I'm like, yeah, it looks like the cards agree with me that Aries needs a vacation. But they definitely elaborated on that a lot more than I did. So hopefully you got something from that as well. All right, so like I said, you also got two cards from this next deck, which is the Spirit Animal Oracle deck. First one is Elephant Spirit. It says learn from the past. There's the artwork. And that's number 25. So that's actually technically another 7 energy. It reduces to a 7. All right. It says, although we often wish we could leave the past behind, Elephant Spirit reminds us that memory matters. We must respect the wisdom of the elders who hand down to us traditions they have shaped to express our connection to each other and respect for the community. What has come before informs what we are experiencing today, and we must never forget our legacy of strength and dignity. Elephant Spirit appears with the message that we are to acknowledge that which came before and learn from it. All of us are memory-based creatures, and we must revisit the past to understand where we are and where we are going. The stories of events you experienced, the stories in our collective memory, and the stories of relationships you have had can be told many ways. What story will you tell? Elephant Spirit is here to encourage you to make it one that stirs in you a sense of power and dignity, for you have honored yourself by choosing to learn from your past. Spirit rejoices at your willingness to learn and grow. So that's pretty cool there too, and I would say that could be supported by the North Node moving through your fourth house as well. You know, really looking at the things from your past and learning how, if they haven't already helped you grow, how you could still grow from those experiences, no matter how you might have perceived them. All right, and then the last oracle message we have for you guys is Mouse Spirit. It says, tend to the small things, and there's the artwork, and it's number 40. All right, let's see what this says. Someone else got that card this month too, and that was the first time I've seen that one come up. I can't remember what sign it was though. All right. It says, the humble mouse pays attention to the smallest details, and Mouse Spirit calls on you to notice the nuances and the fine print at this time. In your eagerness to meet your goals and pursue your dreams, it is easy to forget the importance of clear communication and tending to the little things, including people's subtle signs that they are unhappy, as well as the small voice inside of you that says, this doesn't feel right. Take your time to sniff out what you need to know. Is there some detail or nuance about how you engage others or operate in the world that is key to your success, but you've too readily dismissed as nothing big or nothing special? Mouse Spirit reminds you that what seems small may be more important and more powerful than you think, so look again. Do not underestimate yourself or your potential for co-creating something amazing when you pay attention to the details. So, that sounds like a pretty good message there. Hopefully, you guys got something from that. And that could be, like I said, for the small section view where I thought that Six of Pentacles and the Ten of Cups in the reverse could point to, you know, a person you're in a relationship feeling like you work too much and it's getting frustrating to them, and maybe that's caused them to shut down. You know, maybe that's the point that it could be getting to for somebody there, which is to say, hey, you know, you got to look at that and see, you know, they're just getting frustrated with the fact that you're not around, you know. You might be like, well, I need to do this to pay the bills, right? But maybe that's where that compromise would come into play for some of you, where you say, all right, let's just take a long weekend together, you know, maybe that'll help rebalance both areas of your life. Because, you know, the fourth house and 10th house are always going to be related. You know, they're opposites, but of course they're along that same axis. So if one goes into far imbalance, then the other one's going to be messed up too. So, all right. So, lastly, we'll look at the Mudra card for you guys. And for those of you who haven't been watching this year, I've been pulling Mudra cards for all the signs. And basically, what a mudra is, it's a hand gesture that you make while meditating. Usually, you want to go for a minimum of 5 minutes. Some of them say up to 45 minutes. If you're someone who doesn't meditate a lot, that would sound like an eternity, and even 5 minutes, quite frankly, will feel like a while when you first try it. But try to start with the 5 minutes, and then, you know, if you feel like it does help you, you could just work your way up from there. And basically, what their purpose is to help clear blockages. Sometimes actual physical blockages, but a lot of times more on the emotional and mental level. And the one that you guys got, this is the gesture itself, and it's called the Jnana Mudra, and the keyword for it is wisdom. So I'll flip the card over so you guys can take a look at the messages for it. Alright, let me just hold it up so you guys can take a screenshot or pause it. Alright, and as you can see, we can see everything in this frame, so I'm going to move it up a bit for you guys so you can see the rest. But yeah, it says evokes the feelings of lightness, calms the mind and brightens the spirit, opens the chest and facilitates diaphragmatic breathing, reverses the outward flow of prana and directs energy back towards the body, increases the benefits of any asana, which is a yogic position. So if that sounds like something that you guys would be interested in attempting, I'll put the name of it in the description as always, so you can look into it some more. And I'll also put info regarding if you want to book a personal reading with me in the description as well. And if you want to follow me on Instagram, we have a little bit more fun with astrology and tarot there. But we'll wrap up there, guys. Like I said, try to get any kind of vacation you can. Like I said, even if it's a staycation, if you just need to unplug from your work for a bit and let your mind clear, it looks like the energy definitely supports that and is recommending that as well. All right, but we'll wrap up there, guys. I'll see you next month. All right, bye.